evening and welcome to Nav Air and Scale. Once again, we find ourselves at that beautiful and amazing place with a new kit on the workbench. I'd like to say the workbench is clean. Not really, kind of. It's been cleaned off in the area at least to get this started. So what do I have on the table? And that is the Great Wall Hobby Su-35 Flanker. Now, this is Nav Air and Scale, so you may be asking yourself, rightly so, what are we doing, Brian, with a flanker? And don't worry, folks, I have a plan, baby. And here we go. So let's just dig right in and get started. I am going to not bore you with all the sprues and all the basic stuff. I'm just going to show you what I'm doing with the kit. But in the meantime, first off, we got our big thing here. We got a lot of nice things in the box here. So besides our sprues, we got some aftermarket. Let's get it kicked off. Well, the little things, we got some mask. We got these things check these out. These things are super tiny, but man, they look beautiful. These are, static dischargers, because these plastic ones, which, are protected in the bag right now, the back here, but those things are so fragile and break so easy that we're going to replace them with metal. So let's get into more stuff. What do we have? Detail and Wonder, landing gear. We'll break into that later, but if you notice, that does not include wheels. Who makes Su-35 wheels? Well, as best I can tell, nobody right now. However, these RESkit Su-27 late wheels look really, really close, so we're going to give that a shot. We've also got, in our bag of goodies here, some fab scale. These are fairly new out of the, wherever they're from. I should probably find out. I'll find out. Anyways, in the meantime, we've got our intakes that will fit this kit, and then this will give you a little bit of a clue. What is this? This is a Minicraft collection NACES seat. This is not what the flankers have in them, but as you can see, that is a NACES for an F-14D. So what are we going to do with this? Well, that's going to be part of what we're doing. So anyways, there's some more parts. Stick around. This can be a lot of fun. We're going to get started right off the bat with the cockpit, and right away I'm noticing something. So here's our cockpit tub. The flankers, this is all Russian, so these colors aren't necessarily my wheelhouse, and I would follow what the instructions say. But the one fun thing with this, you can see here they're listed with, colors from Mr. Colors, see things, but you go look in the instruction guide right here, most of those colors aren't even there, or it doesn't tell you necessarily what color they are. So we're going to do a little bit of research, figure that out. But in the meantime, our very first piece, we're going to skip, let's see what we need here. These here, we're going to skip the seat because we are using the aforementioned Navy NACES seats, I hope. Hopefully they fit. We'll check that later. That's part of the fun. But these little parts right down here, C78, C77, going into our cockpit tub here, the way that the instructions show you to do it, well, it doesn't work. So the very first part, they want you to put it with this, hold on to it, with this side facing in, which is not the case. We want that facing out. So flip them around, put them in like that, and that is going to be how these are going to work. Oh, son of a mother, son. So I just did this whole thing and it didn't record, or I didn't hit record. I thought I had, but we're going to have to start this all over again. But I can't put this back in the box. So this was, oh man. I went ahead and showed, we got a couple pieces of the cockpit put together there. We're going to do some initial painting on that right off the bat. And I wanted to take out these parts, and I was basically giving props to Great Wall Hobby because this whole system that they have where things come out in the cardboard. But once I took it out, this is why right there you can see right there, the static chargers are broken. Just taking it out of the box, I'm sure they get banged around there. So that is why I bought these static dischargers. So Oh, I can't believe I did the whole thing. All right, the fast version is I'm going to cut these little suckers off as I build it, just because they're going to get broken and I don't want to deal with it. So tonight we're going to do some painting up here in the cockpit area. So we're going to finish putting this together, and I will talk about the cockpit process and what I am going to do with the actual cockpit, because as cool as the Russian stuff is with their colors, I am going to make this a United States Navy Su-35, and that's going to be a little bit talked about later. So, all right, back to modeling. See, and on that note, with the cockpit, our very first dilemma here is, because this rear deck goes in as a separate piece, you know, you think, all right, I'm gonna go ahead and do that. The instructions show you to do that pretty early on, but I want to paint this part black and the rest of the airplane is going to be camouflage. So the dilemma being, do I paint this black and put it away and then paint the, you know, paint all the camo stuff? Or kind of the whole get there-itis idea is, no, I'm going to go ahead and put that in now, paint it, and then probably have to mask and repaint, but that'll just let me do the black priming to begin with. So something to think about, how you like to build and how many times you want to mask and fix things. I'm going to think about that one. And after a little hemming and hawing and think about it, I've decided to go ahead and glue this in here. Reason being why is, one, it's easy to paint and mask. Two, as much as I like putting stuff together when it's already painted, even though once that goes in, there's a good chance that you have, you know, just the slightest lip of something, you know, unpainted or doesn't match up. So we are going to, right now and right off the bat, throw on some glue and pop this sucker in to get started. There we go. Yeah, that way I can work any seams that need to be dealt with now, and not so much, you know, have to worry about that kind of stuff later. Let's jump over to the intakes and take a look at this. These are the fab scale intakes for Su-30, Su-35 family, printed in white, which is very nice. You look down there, and simple matter of removing them from their blocks. I'm just using a razor blade right now. Can't quite get in all the way on it, so here we go. Well, we'll keep working at it. There's something to be said for like Galaxy stuff where it just comes off instantly. Usually use your finger and get it off, but here I think we're getting close. All right, before I get a hammer, finally free. These are some of the more brittle pieces that I've used, and you can see here, I mean, they were just kind of like welded in with these parts, so we lost some of the side stuff, but I think we're just about there, and we're going to, there we go. Check those suckers out, look good. Get a coat of, actually don't even need to get a coat of paint on them, but I wanted to see how they fit in. While we're doing the intakes, I wanted to take a look, quick comparison, fab scale, printed in white, nicely done. And we got our res kit intakes here. So we pop those open. We have some masking, a little piece of photo etch. This is what's different though, is they give you the fans in the printed resin. So that's pretty cool. 2-part fans. Those are pretty gorgeous. And then our intakes, you can see that in there. It is textured on the inside. It is very, very cool. There's what our mask is for. Some details on the intake ramps. And our photo etch goes right up here for a little part. Like the air temp sensor in there. For some price, about $6, $7 for fab. Those have probably gone up now. And I think 22 or something, 20 bucks for res kit. I'll have to check that. But there you go. There's a quick look. We are down in the garage to do a little bit of painting this afternoon, and I have gotten some MRP Sky Gray. The reason I originally bought this bottle, because some of the earlier Quinta stuff that was supposed to be dark gold gray, this was a much better match, I believe. That's why we did it, so I got it. And what I'm gonna do right now is paint the landing gear bays here, and I'm gonna use this nice light gray. My thought being with this is, these flankers came from Russia to the U.S. Navy. Oh, wait, I haven't even talked about what I'm actually building this as. Okay, well, we'll do that later. But in the meantime, these flankers came from Russia to the U.S. Navy. They kind of had, the Navy uses white bays and Russia uses gray. This is probably not quite blue enough, but I thought it was a good color for what I'm going for. We're going to give it a shot. And we're moving on. We're going to use some light gold gray. I just happen to have the SMS light gold gray here. It's like I said in previous stuff, it's thicker to me, at least. It covers heavier and thicker than MRP, and it doesn't have the issues like MRP does, where if you hit it, it's just a little bit too much pressure. It pools really fast. We're just putting it in here. I decided to go light gold gray to match some of the outsides for this project, and I will tell you what that is next time. All right, the compressor's just not going to shut up, so, oh, there you go. It's time to talk cockpits. That's right, Brian talks cockpit. Brian talks cockpit real good. That was stupid. All right, it's time to talk cockpits, and I have agonized over this. I'm not kidding, for hours. In fact, I didn't even paint last night because I couldn't quite figure out what I wanted to do here. I know that I'm going to go haze gray, 36-270 using SMS here. And the reason I use this is I just think dark gold gray in scale gets way too dark. So I like haze gray, it gives a little bit lighter color. Here you can see there's nothing prime, there's nothing black. I really thought I would use a black overcoat or an undercoat primer, but I just decided to go on with dark gold gray and go from there and see what happens. So I'm gonna do some painting after this and obviously some weathering. And I guess I'm painting now, so that's my choice. And for my final trick of the day, since we didn't paint black for the cockpit as the base, let's go ahead and use some Kark black. This is like NATO black on the cockpit sill area. So let's go ahead and do this. Here we go. So we're just adding our black to this now. So bing, go, bada bing. I can't talk. Time to go back to bed. Done painting. Have a nice day. We'll see you tomorrow. All right, we got some stuff painted. It's time to do some washing. I didn't get the chance to show you, but there's wheel well bays painted, and I just used a little bit of dark brown and dark gray, and then took a stippling brush like this and some white spirits and bada bada boom, and took my other little brush and went bada bada boom boom boom, and there you go. That is how I think those are going to stay. Actually, I think we're going to have to paint the hydraulic lines. But then we got some cockpit parts to look at over here. Those took a brown wash as well and just kind of wiped that off. I like the look of that, kind of like, it kind of looks like, I don't know, vinyl naugahyde, something like that. So then, boom, dark gray wash on our intake ramps. Let's go ahead and wipe those off. Just real simple wiping them off. I'm going to go ahead and leave the streaks just to kind of have it give like more of like a dirty air look going back. And just of note, I did not clear coat these at all. So these are just straight on the paint. I think I'm going to clean up the front a little bit more just because there's nothing there to really, mark that up. Cool. That's it, baby. Moving on. All right, now that all that kind of stippling stuff is done, we can go ahead and grab some of our dark brown and go back for very specific panel lines. Hopefully this works out the way I hope it did. Well, that's not going to work because that's way too much, but what the hell. So we're just going to go ahead and give kind of like the actual panel lines themselves a little bit more color here and dirt and grime, and then we can move on, trying to once again do something rapid and quick in terms of building to get this one done quick and move on to the next one, because there's just too many models and not enough time, baby. Just kidding, not done yet. Let's go ahead. These are the exhausts I painted yesterday, kind of with that kind of cool light green color. I think this was 458, something like that. I got a couple colors that are all the same, so now we're just going to drop in. Well, I was hoping it would kind of pick up easier on the lines, but once again, I'm not gloss coating this just because I'm lazy, and it seems to be working pretty good so far. So we're just going to go ahead and we're just going to go all the way around and do it the easy way here. We got a few other things done here. We got our front landing gear. We got some stuff in there. Just the weathering's all done. And on the cockpit, I did a little bit of weathering wash. Next up is going to be painting black after I did some weathering washes in there. And that's what we're going to move on to. But now, open up our Detail and Wonder Su-35 landing gear. The reason being I'm going to go ahead and do this now is because I want to make sure that there's nothing that, you know, that if I put these landing gear bays in, as the instructions show me, there's nothing that requires being done. There's our normal cages. This is the front. And as beautiful as this rock catcher, whatever this thing is up there, I don't think I'm actually going to use it because my airplane is going to be US based, and I don't know that that's necessary. So look in there. What this doesn't come with, I think these were the early sets. There's rods to go in the middle, but they don't come with wheels, which I found really kind of unfortunate. But that's what it is. So let's take a look at the instructions here. Lots of guidelines on how to cut off the cages in what order. That's great. And I don't see anything on here that tells me about kit parts and when to assemble. So I think these are just direct replacements, which means let's go ahead and put the landing gear bays in the model. And as I continue to press ahead and not actually show like painting and the minutiae stuff, so we got our wheel bays done here, and we've got our well, one's still to go, but here's one put together. I still need to wash these pipes I put in there. The other one's under construction, but I want to show this. So I went ahead, took this down to the garage and painted the inside of the landing gear, the edging basically, in red, painted from the inside out. And I still had to do a little bit on the other side, but since I was there, I went ahead and painted the light gray, and then I had to touch up some of the red. But so that looks cool. That is cool because now I don't have to come back necessarily and paint the gray, and I get good demarcation lines. So then once we put our landing gear bay in, that's basically what we get. We get the red lines, so prevalent in the US Navy, although I think that these parts are like overly done in thickness, and I don't know, I'm not even looking at a picture of the real thing, but it looks really overly done. But I don't know, maybe now that I see that, I'm kind of rethinking my thought process. But that was what I thought would work. Here, let's put in our landing gear bay here and take a look at it on the other side. So that was the idea. That's a lot of red, but I think that's where we're at. Okay, I'm still kind of holding off doing all the masking on this cockpit, but I think that's going to have to be next. Let's talk intakes. Here we go. The fab pieces I got here look really cool. White on the inside, okay? Love that thing. We go to put them in. Check this out. See that gap down in there? That is because the fab part is either too thick to fit in there any further, or it is too thick on the bottom and gives you a lip down there. Just for fun, let's go ahead and put in the kit part. Perfect fit. And I can try and force this in, I guess. Yeah, there's no more, you can't do that. So let's do this. Let's look at these two parts next to each other. Oh, look at that. The kit part is not as thick as the fab part. So just for fun, we'll put those two together. And what we see there is the fab part, unfortunately, is too short. So when you put those together, unfortunately, the fab part needs all of this filed down. Now the other part, let's look at the back. So just for fun, here's the kit back. There's our fan faces. Fab, not so much. How easy is it to remove those lines? Those are pretty seams. They're fairly deep, but it's always doable. Other than this piece being white, there is no benefit. In fact, if anything, it's going to be more work. I got to do seams on this one and paint, or I have to recontour the whole bottom here, sand that all down, and then thin out the back here for those. So let's think about it, figure it out. Hold the phone, hold the dough. Check this out. I just decided to measure out the bottoms, right? There's the kit parts together. All right. And now if we look at where the fab bump up here, the fab bump up here at the front goes, it is sitting, a little hard to see in the thingy, but it's sitting a good millimeter or so behind. So we're gonna chop this off and see what happens. Whoa, that would be awesome if maybe that took care of the problem. Let's see what it does. Oh, that actually, if you can see down in there, if I can see down in there, that actually takes care of most of the problem. Ha ha ha, what do you know? All right, now all we gotta do then is thin out those backs for our fan fits. Ta-da, all right. Scrape some stuff off of both sides. Got it to fit in there. It's nice and tight. It actually won't even come out, but still we'll add a little bit of glue. And there you go. There is our seamless intake with the fab parts. Note to self, remove this tab up top or on the bottom, and you're good to go. All right, here we go. I think masking looks good. I was going to actually just mask part of it at a time, but I think I got most of what I need. So let's go throw some black on. I can't pass up the opportunity to do the most fun thing ever, and that is removing our masking. I went ahead and painted up some of the front panel here too, and let's see how that looks. Oh yeah, that's beautiful. You know, I might need a tiny little touch up, but it's pretty good. And as far as our main cockpit goes here, let's see what happens. I think this went well enough. We're going to see in a second here. Because if it goes well, oh yeah, there we go. Yeah, I'm loving it. See, I didn't paint this area up here. That I'm going to mask separately. I Cark black, basically NATO black, and added a couple of drops of a dark gray as well, just so it's not black. But man, I love this color. I actually wish I could have bottled that one. Okay, here we go. Here is, whoops, the build that I'm duplicating on an Su-35, which of course is, you know, based on, you know, an actual Russian paint job. So it's kind of one gets to the other, gets back to the other. But here's the deal. If you see here, these intakes, right? On the Navy jet, they're off-white with this front lip up here being gold gray. And I really want to kind of duplicate that look, which means these parts that I did that I love are going to have to be redone in white and redone, which I guess that's the way it's going to be. Back to the bench.